some of the Pharisees and teachers of the law said to him, "Teacher, we want to see a miraculous sign from you." Really? He healed a guy with a withered hand on the Sabbath, and you wanted to kill him. He cast out a demon, someone that was blind and deaf. You say he's operating by the power of the devil. Now you come to him and go, "We'll see a sign from you. Give us a sign."
I gave you 3.5 signs already.
You know, if I was Jesus, I think I might have reached out and slapped him. I mean, I know, that's flesh. Jesus wasn't like that. But, I mean, come on. Really? Seriously? But what does he say? He says, he's like, no sign's going to be given to you except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For Jonah was 3 days and nights in the belly of the fish. Son of Man will be 3 days and nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up in judgment with this generation and condemn it. For they repented at the preaching of Jonah, but now a greater than Jonah is here. Man, he hits him with it. He's like, no, I'm not going to give you a sign. He says, this is a sign you'll get. The same sign of Jonah. You know, Jonah was 3 days in a fish. He came out. Must have looked like something when he came out. He came out and he preached in Nineveh and they repented. He says, the same way the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth 3 days and he'll come out. And here's what's going to happen. The people of Nineveh are going to rise up in judgment against this generation because they repented at the preaching of Jonah, but a greater than Jonah is here. Yes. Earlier, he had mentioned that the temple, you know, that his body as a temple would be destroyed. He talked about the temple. And he said, listen, someone that's greater than the temple is here. How could Jesus be greater than the temple where the presence of God dwelt? Because in Christ, all the fullness of the Godhead dwelt in bodily form. And in the temple, it was never all the fullness of the Godhead in bodily form. It was a cloud. It was a pillar. It came and rested. But the fullness was Christ. And he doesn't leave it at that. He could. I mean, that's enough. He says, now one greater than Jonah is here. And he says, the queen of Sheba, or the queen of the south, will rise up in judgment on this generation and condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and one greater than Solomon is here. So Nineveh is going to rise up against you. You guys looking for a sign? Nineveh is going to rise up against you and judge you because they repented at Jonah, greater than Jonah is here. And they said the queen of the south came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and a greater than Solomon's here, and you're not listening.
That's right.
What did even God say at points in the Bible? He says, this is my beloved son. Listen to him. And Jesus would say, let him that have ears to hear what the Spirit has to say. Because if you're not listening, if you're not hearing what the Spirit has to say, then you're going to walk away condemned. You're going to walk away empty. Yes. Jesus says, I don't condemn anyone, but the words I speak will condemn them.
That's right.
Whether you accept them and follow them, or whether you reject them. And they were rejecting his very words and saying, oh, but give us a sign.
Yes, he was.
And he just called them out for their hypocrisy. Just like when they tried to get him on taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, should we pay taxes or not? Oh, almighty, wow, teacher, oh, show us. Yeah. He's like, show me a coin. Whose picture? Caesar. Whose inscription? Caesar's. Well, give the Caesar what's Caesar's. He says, but give the God what's God's.
That's right.
And many of us at tax time wish he would have had a different answer. But what's God's? We were created in the image of God, originally.
That's right.
Now we're kind of the image of Adam. It's messed up. But that image is still there. There's still a reality of the image of God in our lives. Give God your life. Be a living sacrifice unto him. Give him your all. Give him your everything. Give him your words. Give him your actions. Give him your work. Give him your family. Give him your job. Give him your neighborhood. Give him your city. Give him your country. Give it to God. Give God what's God's and give the government what's the government's. I don't know. I usually don't see too many Thomas Jeffersons, but I see a lot of George Washingtons, but I don't know, they're both dead. Benjamin Franklin. What's the one on a $100 bill? I don't know. I never see it. I like Grant. He looks good. He's on a 50. Yeah, I don't see too many of them. George Washington. Give it unto the God. And even in our money, it says in God we trust.